and welcome to another installment of Metallic Reviews, the show where I take an honest look at the harder, heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. Today, we dive into the world of the groovy, intense, and oftentimes controversial as we examine Machine Head's new album of Kingdom and Crown, released August 26th on Nuclear Blast. Now, Machine Head have been around since 1991, and with this release, they've now put out 10 records. For the second week in a row, we have to ask ourselves if time has been kind to a band or if they should have just called it quits. Now, after this band's previous release, some might be clinging to that latter opinion. I don't quite have one, so let's dive into this latest release and find out, shall we? First, a little more context on that whole last release thing. In 2018, Machine Head put out an album called Catharsis that was easily one of the most universally hated albums of the year. It holds an abysmal 18% review rating on the Metal Archives. Angry Metal Guy called it the worst album the band has ever written, and Decibel Magazine referred to it as being, quote, stupid. Despite the lack of linguistic adeptness, these reviews all have the same point. Catharsis, to the metal community at large, frankly sucked. Machine Head, one of the biggest bands to ever hit the scene, had, in many eyes, fallen flat on its face. Now they've released the follow-up, and from a lot of reviews I've seen online, it's a massive comeback. Now, I've never heard Catharsis, so I cannot formulate an opinion on that, but one thing I can say, Of Kingdom and Crown is an absolute banger in a year that's been excellent for metal so far. Rob Flynn and company have put together a record that should be in contention for Album of the Year on a number of lists. I know it's going to be up there on mine. The album is an excellent balance of the heavy and light, the aggressive and the not quite as aggressive, the blunt, the subtle. It all just works. It's brilliance from top to bottom, and it shows all the musicians involved in their best light. I love the way the album kind of toys with the traditional thrash metal concept. There are a mountain of riffs on here, yet they always make way for these lush, beautiful musical valleys in terms of chorus and bridge. Album opener Slaughter the Martyr is a perfect example of this, opening with a 2.5-minute long song introduction and then launching into 6 or 7 more minutes of pulverizing thrash with a catchy, thunderous chorus. Other tracks like Become the Firestorm, My Hands Are Empty, and Unhallowed follow this same formula, playing with orthodox thrash and tossing in stuff that wouldn't be out of place for other bands like Trivium or Bullet for My Valentine. The twin guitar attack of Flynn and newest band member Vogue of Decapitated fame are terrific to hear. Both share solo duties equally, and they're up and down the neck when they do. Interviews with Flynn state that Vogue had a lot to offer to the album in terms of riffs and songwriting. While it's nowhere near as death metal-esque as a Decapitated record, there's definitely a distinct heaviness to different parts that would fit in that realm. And considering that Decapitated's newest record, Cancer Culture, also came out this year, I'd say Vogue's been a pretty busy guy lately. Luckily, both records he's playing on have been really good. I've also got to give it up to guest drummer Navini Kopervis, who currently holds down the fort in prog/tech death outfit Entheos and does session work for the recently returned Job for a Cowboy. All of his talents are on display here as he rips through every single song, planting double kicks exactly where they need to go and restraining himself in just the right manner at just the right time. His performance is, again, comparable to Alex Bent of Trivium or Jason Bold of Bullet for My Valentine. If I have any issues with the album, it's in the lyrics, but that's just because Flynn and I have political and religious disagreements. However, in terms of music, this is one of the best albums released this year so far. It's like they took all the best elements of thrash, groove, and even a bit of melodic death metal, wrapped them up in a nice, clean package, and then unleashed it on the world. Flynn and company have an album that they can be really proud of. It gets a very strong 5 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching. Go and click like, subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified about weekly Metallic reviews. Next week, we're going to continue down the path of the thrashy and sometimes controversial as we examine Megadeth's new album, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. I hope you'll join me. You've been watching Metallic Reviews, where I give honest ratings to honest music. I will see you all next time.